three, four. You say you stand by your man. You tell me something I don't understand. You said you love me, and that's a fact. And then you left me, said you felt trapped. Well, some things you can't explain away, but the heartache's in me till this day. Did you stand by me? Oh, not at all. Did you stand by me? No way. And all the times when we were close, well, I remember these things the most.
Hello there, Tony Medley once again, and a nice warm welcome to my workshop. It's a glorious morning out there, but it's very, very cold, but the sunshine, that's the main thing. So obviously spring is definitely here. Today's project, I'm going to make a segmented bowl, but there's going to be a definite twist to this one. If you remember back 10 videos ago, I done a one on the tilt. This one I'm going to do also again another one on the tilt, but this time, because I've got this new clamp what I made the other week, I'm going to attempt to do it at a 20-degree angle instead of the 12-degree angle what I made of that. So I've got a piece of Sapele, I've marked it off, got the centre. It's 250 millimeters, so I should get a 250 millimeter diameter on it, or should I say circumference? I keep getting them mixed up. So I'm going to glue a chucking point onto this. Then I'm going to just cut the ends off on the bandsaw, get it into the lathe, get it rounded off, and then we'll start on the segments. With this morning being a little bit on the chilly side, although that's sun shining, we're just going to warm it up with a hairdryer, then apply some glue. This morning I've got two very able assistants, one soaking up the rays and the other one, as usual, wanting the ball thrown all day long. Very helpful indeed. I think this one's got the right idea. If you can remember rightly, when I first done the first ball, and it's so important to remember this. When you're going to cut the segments, you must put a wiggly line down one side of your batten and a straight line down the other. And it'll all come out in, later on in the video while we do that, or when I'm cutting them, or when I'm placing them up, should I say. So it's a squiggly line down one side, and a straight line down the other. And you do that on every piece. It doesn't matter whether it's maple or the sapele. Straight line down the thin side. I'll explain it all when I'm gluing it up. The circumference is 800 millimeters. If you divide that by 16, it equals 50 millimeters on the long side per segment. The way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to put a normal segmented ring round of sapele. Then I'll do 2 rings of the cut on the tilt. Then I'll put another sapele ring on the top. Well, I know I'm just repeating myself, but I think it's nice to go through it. We're going to make a 16 segment ring, so obviously we want 16 segments at 50 millimeters on the long side. You make the first cut on number 1, the second cut on number 2, the third cut back onto number 1, and the fourth cut on back onto number 2, and right the way through in the same order until you get 16. Well, it's time to cut the ones on the tilt now. I find the best way, we're going to do it to say 20 degrees, is you can use one of these fancy little boxes, as long as you remember to zero it. It's a little bit more accurate than the saw. So if you just zero that, then obviously turn it round to the 20 degrees. That's 20 degrees there. Lock it off. Take that off. And you've physically got the blade at a 20-degree angle. So it's time to cut. We're going to do, as we said, we're doing 16 piece rings. So we want 16 of maple, 16 of sapele. When you cut them on the tilt, you need to do 2 rings, because what you need is 16 of these, and you'll end up with 8 of one shape, 8 of the other, and obviously another 16 of these. So that's why I'm putting 2 rings round. What we need to do now is get all the fuzzies off. What you must not do is, obviously I'm not going to do it, but you haven't to smooth that down. Just get the fuzzies off, and that's all you need. It's just so when you glue them up that you make a perfect contact with that. Well, it's time to glue them up, but make sure that or that you, if you're going to make one, is cover everything with cling film so we don't get any glue on the press. So without further ado, we'll glue everything up and then we'll put the top on. The clamp that I've made is absolutely superb. To be perfectly honest, with it being on the tilt, it's actually invaluable. It works on the normal segmented ones, but you can see it's still wet. I've only had it in for a couple of hours and I'll leave it for 24 hours to dry. But you can see every joint is absolutely superb. If you hadn't have used the clamp, you would have ended up with this scenario where you'd have had two pieces of cut on the tilt like that, and as you tighten it up, it slides like that because it wants to push up. So it's actually it's invaluable. I couldn't have been more pleased with it, to be perfectly honest. Just wonderful.